This is how the body reacts to a gel coating. And now I'll tell you in more detail how to achieve such an amazing result. In the meantime, in macro mode, I suggest enjoying all the nuances and details of this thumb. Overall, the others look the same. We see a raised nail bed, a large amount of keratosis. We can also see some hemorrhages, there are cracks, and overall there's an effect of inflammation. Or you could even say an inflamed nail bed. Now I'm starting to show it from a bit farther away so you can see the bigger picture. And I want to say that unfortunately people who have experienced this condition of their nails, in 99% of cases will never be able to cover their nails with anything again. What can dry in the lamp? Neither gels, bases, nor gel polishes are involved. This model visited me and her story is quite interesting. And our acquaintance started in a rather funny way, because she wrote to me asking if I could help with something and I said yes, of course. And I also wrote that I didn't need any payment, because she asked how much it would cost. I said I don't take money since I'm filming content. And apparently she didn't quite understand me completely, or maybe she just didn't believe that something like this could happen. Then she sent me a hilarious message. Besides, I haven't heard of any decent podiatrists, or at least competent ones, offering free consultations. That really amused me and I thought, if you want to pay, that's totally fine, no problem at all. And I sent her a message with a link to my salon. She visited the website, reviewed it, and then decided to come after all. I thought it would be a great story for my content. Now I'm going to start the treatment here. And for my work, I'll be using this unusual burr that looks like a pear. It has a blue ring, which means it's quite abrasive. It's a very active burr. So, while we're doing the treatment, I'll tell you the story she told me. She came to me saying that her problem happened because the materials used were of poor quality. She was certain. I thought, wow, that's interesting. She knows exactly why this happened. Of course, I started to investigate and ask questions. And naturally, I also examined her fingers in general. I looked at her palms and noticed that she had quite a lot of dryness. It was even something like, well, some kind of allergy or maybe eczema, dermatitis, somewhere in that range. I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose, but I should still pay attention. A manicurist should always check the client's skin to ensure it's safe to proceed. Or is it better to just send them straight to the doctor? Of course, I asked her why her skin was in that condition, and she said she was a medical worker and worked in a hospital. What does she do there? She interacts a lot with antiseptics and gloves. It's very simple. So her hands are really constantly drying out. In general, you could say that something quite aggressive is always affecting them. So, let's make a note of this point and get back to talking about what she has then. Her nails were damaged by poor quality polish. I want to say that, by the way, it's very convenient to clean up these kinds of problems with this kind of drill bit. Why is it convenient? Because of its shape. The shape, as you can see, is called a pear, so it doesn't start from a narrow tip, but rather from a round ball-like end. And then it tapers, and this exact shape works great in this situation. It works quite quickly. I think you can see this by the amount and intensity of the dust that's flying off to the side and being sucked into the extractor. So, keep that in mind. Also, KMIZ has not only ones with a blue band, but also with green and even black bands in this shape of bit. Let's give Freeze a like. I'll also include a link, but I think it's only available on their website, not Warner Brothers. Goodbye. Speaking of how she achieved such amazing results, and here she tells me a very interesting and rather long story. I'll tell you this story now, and then you can think about it and let me know in the comments if you agree with my opinion. Maybe you're on her side or not. It's interesting to do a quick poll in the comments to see everyone's opinions and which side they're on. So here's the situation. This girl used to go to a beauty salon for manicures. There she started seeing a particular technician. She went several times, everything was fine, there were no warning signs, everything held up, nothing hurt, everything was okay. After some time, the technician she was seeing whispered to her that she was planning to leave the salon and start her own career working for herself. She intended to take clients from the salon, seeing them as hers, not the salon's. That's the technician's view, but what about the client's perspective? So my model didn't even think about that at all. And so naturally the client follows her. She took her phone number and now she starts going to her. She still goes to the same place and it's even cheaper. With the same master, everything should be fine. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that the master who left the salon and took clients with her also caused some sabotage and even got some employees from the salon she left involved. So my model went to her for a manicure several times. And after that, something started happening to her nails. She noticed her nails darkening, thickening, and lifting. Besides that, she experienced some unpleasant sensations after the manicure. Something was swelling, something was itching. In short, there were some strange feelings, but the technician didn't really say anything to her about it. And she kept enduring it, kept getting manicures, and so to speak, kept putting up with the situation. And after some time, when my model really noticed that things had gotten really bad and nothing good was going to come of it, she finally decided to do something about it. I'll pause for now. By the way, I wanted to tell you that these nails are being treated with the Dr. Alex device. And on my hands, I'm using the SP130, the very device on which I set my records. Overall, it's the most reliable device I've used. It's thoroughly tested and will work without a doubt. Of course, I'll show the image and promo code for your convenience. And here too, please note that my previous bit broke right here and couldn't handle it because there was some polish applied to it in this area. I'm not sure what type of polish it was, but it clogged my diamond bit. Of course, I was upset, but then I remembered that I also have these unusual bits. They look like a little bell or a skirt. I thought, why not try to clean it up with this bit too, because there is both onycholysis and keratosis here. I got curious about how this bit would work, and I assumed that it should actually perform quite well because basically it resembles the shape of a pear or something that flares out, so it's quite similar. I like that you can use it to make precise onycholysis cuts and carefully remove everything. Moreover, they come in different sizes. This is also a burr from KMIS. Some are really tiny and some are a bit bigger like this. Here we've already opened the cap on the big toe and we're seeing this amazing picture. We'll be filing and cleaning here for a while, so I'll keep telling my story. At the moment when my model noticed that something was wrong with her nails, she decided to contact her previous technician, whom she had already worked with there, almost best friends. For some reason, she doesn't go to her anymore. Maybe it's the location. It turns out the technician there follows me, watches my content, and knows who I am. So now I'm sending her my regards and saying a big thank you for helping her friend save her nails. Before it was too late. I also appreciate people who genuinely watch and listen. You don't need to send them to me. Just send them to a podiatrist if you notice anything wrong. Because keeping quiet or covering it up is definitely not the way out of the situation. So that's how this girl ended up coming to me, and now we're doing the cleaning together. And of course I asked her why she thought it was because of low quality materials. To which she replied that since the technician who left the salon opened her own studio and started working for herself, things have been tough for her, so she buys slightly cheaper materials. And of course she understands her situation. It's harder for her. She needs help. She needs support. In general, she tries her best to understand her, but for some reason at that moment she chooses to forget about herself. Honestly, that's how I see it, because I don't get how you can justify someone else when you've suffered so much yourself. But I thought that most likely she just doesn't realize what happened to her. Now she can't use any nail products that dry under a lamp, so long-lasting coatings are unavailable to her. There's only the dip system option, and yes, it's something that really works well, for example, when we're dealing with burns. I've tested it several times. It's a good alternative, but you need a specialist familiar with this rare technique. I started talking to her and she kept making excuses for that specialist. She says, yes, she had some other bottles. Yes, of course, I understand that she was saving money because it was hard for her. Because during the process, it also turned out that after a short time, her specialist actually moved out of the location that was next to the salon she had left. Because she just couldn't handle it, she couldn't pay the rent and provide herself with supplies. Honestly, that wasn't really surprising news for me. I wasn't surprised because it happens very often. Nail artists think it's only about how you do nails, but actually there are so many other things involved. And the worst part is that clients don't even realize what kind of situation they're getting themselves into when they act so irresponsibly. And now, while I'm finishing up the cleaning, I'll try to explain my position in this situation as clearly and thoroughly as possible. I want to tell you that when a technician tries to take a client away from the salon, of course that's inappropriate, dishonest, and unethical. But when a client agrees to go with such a technician, they're also acting irresponsibly, and they're being irresponsible not even towards the salon, but towards themselves. After all, in this situation, the client isn't protected at all because such a technician can just disappear, close their office, forget your name, and won't help you with anything after that. And it's good if you find someone who is willing to help you in this way because they might want to share this experience with their audience. I'm mentioning myself since I'm not charging her. At the end, we calculated how much such a cleaning would cost if she just came as a regular client. You can suggest your own guesses about how much you think this could cost. I'll definitely talk about it at the end of the video. Fake histories bought cheaply from unknown sources are meant to protect the client. The salon is always responsible for making sure that the tools are sterilized, that everything is done according to sanitary regulations, and so on. No one is truly protected if something suddenly goes wrong. Any technician can make a mistake, the one who works in a salon, the one who works in their own office, or even the one who works at home. So absolutely everyone makes mistakes. But the difference is that the salon doesn't want to take reputational risks. The salon will always do everything to make sure the client is taken care of. Not sure, just make them happy, compromise, and be loyal. That is, do absolutely everything to make the person comfortable and to smooth out any unpleasant nuances. Also, there are regulations in the salon. For example, in my salon, they don't allow technicians to work on nails like these. The technicians know what they need to respond to, when they need to say no to a client, and when the technician is sitting behind closed doors in their own room. Of course, they can give themselves discounts, make exceptions somewhere, and sometimes just provide the service because it can bring in money for the day, without thinking about what consequences it might have. Salon technicians, at least the normal, reasonable ones, would never do things like that. I can tell her right away that, of course, I asked which salon she was working at then. This is the salon technician my model visited. And I know this salon, I know the owner of this salon, and I know for sure that everything there is proper, beautiful, and everything is in order. So there was nothing out of the ordinary there. They buy good materials there. It's just that in this situation, one girl thought she could hack the system and gather clients. But she didn't think that just because you know how to do nails well using the clients and materials provided, it doesn't mean you can open your own offices, do accounting, plan purchases, and so on. Well, unfortunately, my model paid the price with this kind of result. Of course, I feel endlessly sorry for her here, but honestly, I told her that what happened to her is the result of her own actions. Because as long as people like her feel sorry and allow people like that master to do what they do, this will keep happening. This is the responsibility of both people. I believe she's at fault, but I don't judge her. Still, I need to let her know, since she'll likely reflect on it after I speak. No one was hurt, everything's fine. We'll fix these nails and they'll grow out well. Now she has oil for home care. By the way, I showed her the oil. It's important to apply it, because when we use it, the nails will be moisturized, flexible, and they will grow faster. You have to admit, after cleaning it up, it doesn't look so scary and life feels easier. Well, my story is slowly coming to an end. And now I'll tell you how much this procedure would cost at my salon according to the lead master's price list. So I'm in the very highest category, and it would cost about 15,000 rubles because it's a complicated, lengthy cleaning, very, very careful, very meticulous. And so I explained to her that if she had just come in for an appointment, she would have been charged that amount of money. Maybe somewhere else in another subcenter they would have charged a little less, and somewhere else they could have charged a little more. But the point remains the same. While she pitied the specialist and begged, "Please don't mention her name," I had no intention of saying it anyway. So actually everyone suffered here, and that specialist ended up losing her client base and realized that she wouldn't be able to do what she had planned. And she was probably upset about it, but she didn't think that you can't build anything good on immoral behavior, because you really should always try to live according to your conscience. It's great that things turned out in a way that we met each other. It's great that I have the opportunity to tell you about this. And it would be really wonderful if, among the people who hear and listen to me now, there are those who truly hear me and can understand me correctly. I can share this with you, and there will definitely be people here who will find it useful. Well, regarding this situation, these nails need to be grown out. They need to be cleaned up. If you suddenly notice something similar, meaning if after the coating you feel itching, swelling of the nail folds, redness, or some kind of unpleasant loosening or bursting sensation. In general, if something keeps bothering you right after a manicure and it happens systematically. Well, first of all, take a look under your nails. And secondly, if you notice something there, especially between coatings, examine your nail plate closely. And if there are any warning signs, please don't put it off for later. Be sure to raise the alarm right away and consult a specialist before it gets too late. That's all from me. Bye bye everyone. This was Aliona with you.